Hello, thank you for joining me today. My name is Alina, and I'm a certified NeuroGraphic instructor. Today, we'll be drawing the autumn equinox, and the autumn equinox is associated with the vector equilibrium. In 2021, the autumnal equinox, also called the September equinox or fall equinox, arrives on Wednesday, the 22nd of September. This date marks the start of fall in the northern hemisphere and the spring in the southern hemisphere. Equinoxes have been celebrated for millennia. They were considered among the most important days of the year in many esoteric and pagan traditions, and they have a specific and powerful spiritual meaning. The equinox is the equilibrium of day and night, and this represents the light and darkness in our lives. This is why I decided to use the vector equilibrium, the only sacred geometric shape where all the vectors are of the same length. By definition, the vector is a quantity that has magnitude and direction, and is commonly represented by a directed line segment whose length represents the magnitude and whose orientation in space represents the direction. The scientist who discovered and used this term, the vector equilibrium, was Buckminster Fuller, who was an American architect, author, designer, and inventor. He is famous for designing the geodesic dome. As all the vectors in the vector equilibrium are of the same length, the vector equilibrium represents, from the energetic perspective, the ultimate and perfect condition where energy comes to a state of equilibrium, and thus stillness. So the vector that we're talking about, they're radiating from the center and those who and connecting the edges. So thus it consists of equilateral triangles. The vector equilibrium is the zero starting point for happenings and non-happenings. It is the empty theater, an empty circus, an empty universe ready to accommodate any act and any audience. Other sources suggest that equilibrium is not inactivity, but rather a dynamic balance. This balance is not necessarily physical, but may be mental or emotional as well. It is believed that nature exhibits a fundamental drive towards equilibrium. It is the path of least resistance. Forces continue to push or pull until counterbalanced, and in the absence of other influences, symmetrical considerations dominate. And now, let's start drawing our figure, the vector equilibrium, using a NeuroGraphica. Hello again. So now we can start our drawing. As I had explained before, we will need to draw the flower of life. We will need the following tools, as usual for sacred art and neurographic drawing: a ruler, compass, markers, pencil. So we will begin with finding the center, approximately the center of the page, where we can position our circle. It's approximately here. I draw the diagonals, and where the two diagonals intersect, there will be a center. And I will draw the vertical line with a ruler. So you can press very lightly, but I will be pressing harder so you can create a stronger impression on paper. So we will draw the flower of life, a figure you're very familiar with if you followed my tutorials. The radius probably will be, let's see, I measure 2 inch, which is 5 centimeters. 2 inches or 5 centimeters. So I position and I will draw my first circle with a compass. So the second one will be position. We'll draw it in our center. Central point is the intersection of the vertical line and the first circle. The center of the third circle is exactly where the two first circle intersect. And this circle passes through the previous two intersection point, through the center of the previous two circles. And then this way, so this is the next circle center. Again, we'll position and draw the next circle. And then we'll finish until the end when we meet here. You can see we have the preliminary structure, the flower of life. And we also draw another circle that outlining the two, creating kind of a mandala shape. Just to outlining the image. So this creates the basic grid for our drawing. And now, since our NeuroGraphic drawing, I can use the pen, which is a fine marker, because the next lines will become part of our drawing. You're welcome to use a marker, or you can use it with a pencil, whatever you prefer. I prefer using a marker because it will be easy for you to see on the screen what I'm doing, the impression of the lines. Also, you may use a ruler like this to connect the point, hexagon, or you can use it just by hand, connecting this intersection point by hand, like this. I prefer by hand because this becomes like part of our NeuroGraphic drawing, or NeuroGraphic Art drawing. Also, as I'm doing it by hand with a ruler, I observe myself and I'm thinking about it. If not thinking, but at least I'm setting my intention that this is the point of nothingness, the point of equilibrium, as I explained the introduction, the point of equilibrium, the terminal equinox, the point of beginning. For me, it's especially a point of beginning again because I came from a long trip and now I'm trying to get back into my activities, or rather develop something new. So for me, it's a point of equilibrium. So now I connect the central with the center point with vertices. Those vectors that create this equilibrium. You can also breathe in and observe how you're breathing in and out, and maybe a little bit stronger. As we were thinking about equilibrium, but also it's more like emotional, setting in a long winter, darker time. So these vectors are equal those lengths, equilateral triangles. So this creates equilateral triangles. So then we can connect these points as well. And we will continue creating composition. So I connect lines. If you like to see it more like geometric art, you can use your ruler. And also, the most importantly, I will draw the figure, the hexagram, the star. It's a construction for two equilateral triangles. So I connect those points and this point. Which also represents forces. Let's consider it. The one that points upwards represents the masculine energy, and the one that's points down is feminine energy. Now this is the basic of our composition as it is. And now it's time to start concentrating on our drawings and draw neurographic lines. They were just a straight line as I used them as straight lines. By hand. Now I will apply a little bit more neurographic line, which is a little bit curvy, more adding a slight movement of the hand. You're welcome to pause this video and we'll be drawing individually. We will connect. I will pause my camera and we'll turn it on in a few minutes. I'm drawing the lines, but at the same time I'm adding rounding the corners. I hope that everyone who joined me today is familiar with neurographic drawing, at least enough to know how to draw the neurographic line and the principle of rounding the corners. If you joined us the first time, I'm happy to repeat what the neurographic line is and the principle of rounding, since I mentioned this. The neurographic line, by definition, is the line that doesn't repeat itself. There is segment. So for the time being, all you need to know is just that it doesn't repeat itself. So concentrate that the line doesn't have any pattern, because the pattern reinforces pattern in our thinking, the pattern of our thoughts. Like for example, this is the pattern ornament. It's a perfect example of a pattern. So that Each part resembles the first one, the previous one. That's beautiful, but it's not the purpose of our drawing. So the second element of NeuroGraphic Art principle, the principle of rounding. Every line, when they intersect, when the two lines intersect, they create a sharp corner, rather four sharp corners. Unlike round, the circle, triangle represents the figure of conflict, sharpness. It's more like our innate response to it. So what's round is positive, nice, perfect, symmetrical, and triangle sharpness. It's something that we're intuitively trying to stay away. So if we have intersecting lines that create sharpness, we would like to eliminate it by creating, softening this intersection. So again, I'll show you in a larger area. Line, another line, a small arc, and I fill it in. Of course, I explain much more in my regular courses than where I teach theory, but at the beginning, it's only to complete this drawing, and it's good to know this principle. There are many videos now, enough to explain what the neurographic line is and the principle of rounding. And similar, we will do here the same. At a line and rounding. There are so many lines, and you may ask whether we need to round everything. No. The principle of rounding, when you feel uncomfortable, you may round the corners. At the beginning, you probably would like to round everything. But in general rule, in this specific exercise, please round as much as you feel comfortable if you need. So the next one I know is specific for NeuroGraphica. This figure stands alone in the field. It represents us, but we do not exist separate from our environment. And that's why we will draw the neurographic line that connects us with the environment. And an environment like our other people, our daily activities, our places. So what else you would like to do? You may surround this mandala with a circle, like outer boundary, or you can leave it on its own. It's very much up to you. You can include these lines into your drawing as well. There's constructing lines. Why I draw this, I don't know. These specific lines represents my inner dialogue. I don't know what exactly, why this specific line, why my brain creates this impulse to draw this specific line. But as I'm thinking about it, and my intention is to create equilibrium, my entire drawing is towards equilibrium. It's like a GPS system. I set the direction that from here until point B, which is equilibrium, and that I'm creating this geometric pattern, roadmap that will take me there. That's this perfect figure itself, symmetrical figure, will create additional element of adds perfection and stability in my mind. Your lines can go through the drawing, through this figure. So let's. I suggest that we can draw on our own, but concentrate on yourself, and we will reconnect in a few minutes, and I will continue my drawing. Part of my drawing is completed, and I'm going to outline the main figure, make it stronger. The vectors. So the vectors will be radiating from the center. And now even this stronger marker, but I still creating this neurographic line with it. So all strength, when I'm drawing, it comes from within, from the center, from this point of 0 point, and outlining. As NeuroGraphic, you can always add more lines later. That's the beauty of it, of the drawing. As more thoughts, more ideas come, or impulses, we may continue this drawing later. Sometimes it's nice to have a drawing completed within one day, within 1 hour. You start. Sometimes it takes longer, very individual, and also depends from one drawing to another. And continue adding more lines, rounding when I feel like. And I feel like I need to add more colors right now. So please prepare coloring pencils or paints, whatever you prefer. Or you can You're welcome to leave it on in black and white. It's up to you. More. Right, so for now I will add more colors. I will continue applying colors. You can see I have a selection of colors. So we will start. I'm thinking, so I'm using my intuition, and I'm thinking what color I would like to begin with. I think I will begin with blue, because this color suggests balance, air, or even water. It depends on the system you're looking. More like the sky. As usual, I'm not applying my colors with strength. So it's all about balance. And I'm going to apply all the other colors to create this balance. So I have all the colors that we have in the palette. Let's see, we have yellow, orange, red. Okay, we'll start with the first color. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, dark blue. So we have 6, 7 colors. And all together they will create white color. So I will use all of them to incorporate into my drawing. So I'll start with the blue. Right now I'm just using my intuition, and I'm feeling how much of each color I would like to see. Or the equal proportions. Very interesting to see how our own sense of perception of equilibrium. So our own perception and sense of equilibrium. As you can color outside. I'm just creating. I'm trying to create a nice balance figure, like a color in terms of color and in terms of shape. Shape, we have a shape balance. Now in terms of color. I think I will continue with this, and I will post the video, and you're welcome to do the same. You can pause your video, and we'll continue in a few minutes together. Right. So even if I started with blue, but I have less blue than I had expected, I moved with a dark blue. Yeah, like a little bit of purple overlapping with red. So I like overlapping colors, but this time I feel like a few areas where my colors overlap. Typically my colors flow one to another. This is a bit more strength. Would I need more lines? I don't know, maybe I need more lines. Now, since I completed the drawing with the colors, maybe I need more lines. Maybe not, I'll leave it like nice and airy. So it's another thing I would like to try to make it, since it's these are watercolor pencils. It's very nice. And I would like to apply a little bit more to integrate them more by using water. This is just using watercolors or just another, just for effect. Doesn't have to be, there's no requirements. It's just from here you can continue whatever and to develop your drawing the way you feel like. It's just an idea. Just an idea. Just like very light touch. Since we're drawing equilibrium, I like it to be like smoother transitions. A little bit more here. I would like the colors to be soft, but at the same time I don't want them to run into each other completely. And I still maintain separation in the colors. Maybe a little bit more in the middle. So I think for now I'm satisfied. We have a look later and add more lines if I feel like adding more lines, but at the same time, for now I feel it's finished for now. Thank you very much for joining me in this drawing vector equilibrium with the elements of NeuroGraphica, and I look forward to seeing you in our next classes online. Have a wonderful day. Good luck with your drawing.